Radosavljevic. Yes.
Janko Radosavljevic.
Oh, beautiful.
Janko Radosavljevic.
There. Getting better every time.
Morris?
Yes.
How do you pronounce the last name?
Janko's Robbers.
Rado, son of a...
I mean, everybody knows it. I'm tired.
Rado, son of a bitch.
I'm going to ask you that.
That was my...
Better get
Rado,
ready.
son of a bitch.
Morris, how do you pronounce Janko's last name?
Radosavljevic.
How long do you know Janko Radosavljevic?
6 months.
Janko, how long do you regret knowing Morris?
About
3 months.
5 months and 29 days. Today's a nice day because I got to meet Shannon.
How you know Perry
Want a
before?
mite, chocolate liver?
I met Perry at comedy.
That's right.
1 minute to go, 27
Good,
minutes.
good, get out.
At 27
Gladys.
minutes, we say our goodbyes, the final statements.
She called me again. She wanted me to go back.
I know, I've been...
Where can people get the video or the book?
All right, we'll give them the phone number and we'll give them an address.
All right. And
Is endofanaera.com still up and running?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
and
There
what
is something there.
and how did and what shape was
I would
the original
recommend saying
DVD?
Google. Mo, you can say something like
The original
Google.
DVD was a reel-to-reel movie film.
How did you make it like this?
We went into from the reel-to-reel. We went to the VHS. From the VHS, we went to a DVD.
Tell them that.
I'll tell them. Yeah.
Tell them.
I'll be happy to say.
All right, 10 seconds.
Don't
Yes,
forget
yeah.
that it sat in a drawer for 50 years.
That's right. It did.
All right, quiet.
Oh, speaking of...
Quiet. Welcome to the conversation. 4 guests, including me. 3 and 1. Moe Resner rejoins us after his success at throwing out the first ball for the season of the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field before 42,000 people. And this follows 8 years ago when he had a press conference in front of 39,000 people at the AT&T lot in San Francisco for the Giants, presenting his DVD of their very last game in Manhattan at the original Yankee Stadium. And the Chicago Cubs gave Moe Resner a full embroidered, stitched, knitted Chicago Cubs official uniform, to the grand applause of the entire crowd as he ran out to center and pitched the ball to the catcher, not once but twice, because he didn't realize that the ball had passed the base the first time, and so the ham that he is did it a second time, and it is autographed by the catcher, and Morris has it. Now, Moe Resner is a financial planner, and Moe Resner is the baseball freak, and Mike Resner is the show business phenomenon. And all 3 personalities are in the book we've profiled, that together with the DVD we profiled are formally accepted into the Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame. I even have the letter right here. Dear Moe, thank you so much for sending the book, and we have passed it into our permanent archives, but not Moe. Moe is not part of the permanent archives. And Moe, would you please show first the book?
Yeah. This is the book that came out 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And we
Hold
got,
it
I
up.
think, 5 left, and we're going into a reprinting. The
Hold it up
Chicago-
high.
The Chicago
Proud.
Cubs and Moe. 71 years I waited for this, before they became champions.
And then the DVD, in the other hand,
DVD was an accidental movie I took on reel-to-reel.
show it to you, Cap.
Reel-to-reel in 1957, the last day for the New York Giants history. And there were also services, which I didn't know about until I got there. I was the only one with a movie camera, and that was shown at AT&T Park, San Francisco Giants, when there was a reunion. And that's basically it. Oh, you made a mistake. It was not the Yankee Stadium. It was the Polo Grounds.
You told me it was Yankee Stadium.
It's a-
How are you
Never,
attributing the
never.
mistake to me when it came from you? Polo Grounds.
How
I said,
about
I
I
know.
said-
He said the
Yankee
Polo Grounds was across the river from
Yes,
Yankee
across the
Stadium.
river.
How do
Not
I
being
know
a-
from Polo
Because
Grounds?
not being a baseball fan, you wouldn't know those things.
Show the shirt.
Oh, this is it.
This is a work of art.
When I threw out the first ball, before that, I said, look, I'm a baseball guy. I still want to run around. I want it to be authentic. I want a real uniform. So they gave me the real uniform. There's the Cubs. And they put my name in the back, Resner, with my number 3.
Nice.
And this is a World Series uniform. I've got the pants, I've got everything else, I've got the hat. And it was May 25 was the greatest.
Hold the shirt so people can see the shirt.
You're interrupting
Be proud, be
interrupting the
proud.
speech.
Here.
May 25th
There
was
you
the
are.
greatest
See?
day of
See?
my life.
Show the shirt again.
Okay.
And what does it say? Resner. R-E-S-N-E-R. And why number 3?
That's my number, 3.
Because of what? You've been playing baseball how long?
62 years.
Our other guest, Perry Barber, umpire, singer, made the music on the DVD and the co-producer. And you can confirm that he's been playing baseball this long?
We actually met on the diamond when I was umpiring and Moe was hitting the ball and running the bases and putting players half his age to shame. And he's still doing it 32 years later.
And the DVD was originally reel-to-reel, and then it became VHS, and then it was made DVD.
Before I did that, I put it away for how long? 50 years?
A long time.
I put it away for 50 years till a New York Giants group of old-timers found out about it. And they asked me to show it, and I did, and they invited the New York Times, which I didn't know about.
This
The
show-
next day, my picture was in the New York Times.
And this shows you the press. It's like when Yasser Arafat was evicted from Avi Fisher Hall, and the whole press was there for the 50th anniversary of the United Nations, the celebration at Avi Fisher Hall for Beethoven's 9th. And I was the only one who thought his eviction by Mayor Giuliani was significant. And no other press thought it was. And I gave the article to the New York Post with the pictures. And therefore, that became a major issue for Mayor Giuliani for the rest of his political career. Because of a freelancer like me, a freelancer like Moe, you have the posterity of a bygone age reported now in the Hall of Fame, and you have his life reported in the book, The Chicago Cubs and Moe.
And there's a lot of show business in here. One of them, tell them about Skitch Henderson. I was in Carnegie Hall. I never took a...
One of the greatest mistakes I ever made was giving a triangle to Moe, and Skitch Henderson was delighted to have him join the New York Pops with Jessica Mason as the guest conductor. I was on the bass drum, and Grubman was on timpani, and so on. and we did this 2 years in a row. For the gala of the New York Pops. Morris went on to play tambourine and castanets with the Goldman Band and at the Lincoln Center Band Shell, and also at the Waldwick Band in New Jersey with me.
And never knew anything about music, not notes, nothing. But I was at Carnegie Hall
Wow.
one night.
You've never told me about that part of your sordid past.
Yeah, it's
but
all
oh
in
my
the book.
gosh.
See, there's another thing. One of the good reasons why I wrote this autobiography, people ask me, what did you do on this? What did you do in baseball? What did you do here or there? I said, wait a minute. I'll answer the questions, but I'm not doing it anymore. I'm writing the book. Read the book and you'll find out all about me. And that's what
Biggest
happened.
shock I ever had was if I could write. Our other guest is Janko Radosavljevic, Serbian.
Yes.
And I'm very proud to meet another Serbian. They were the main reason that the Hitler Nazi forces never got to Russia on time and were stuck in the winter and lost the war. And the Serbs were always the friends of the Jews and protected the Jews as best they could. while the Muslims under the vicious Mufti from Jerusalem, Hitler's best friend, the head of the Muslims in Palestine, rose the Muslims up in Africa and in Eastern Europe to be Hitler's allies against the Christians and Jews.
And I remember every minute of it.
Yes, well, Morris, if your baseball and your history were of equal merit, you would have a second book.
Maybe.
Now, Janko, first, Morris, I want you to pronounce his last name.
It's very simple. Radosavljevic is right into it. I know it backwards already.
Perry.
Radosavljevic.
I would be highly
Radosavljevic.
insulted, Janko Radosavljevic.
Radosavljevic.
How could he be angry? He made up the name himself.
I've heard a few variations throughout the years.
Tell us how you became interested in Moe and your background.
So, I was introduced to Moe by one of my co-producing partners. His name is Antonio Companis, and we met up with Moe in his baseball den, and immediately I was
Your den of iniquity?
how would I say it? We made a connection first time we met, and we've been working on a little documentary film for about 4 or 5 months in continuity.
I'm really flattered that he was interested in doing my whole life story.
I'm astounded.
You're astounded.
This guy?
You lived a sheltered life. You didn't know about baseball, show business, business finance. This is not your field. Your field is what you're doing right now.
My field is finding interesting people and wondering how they became interesting when all the obstacles should have prevented it. Now, tell me, Perry, did you enjoy having baseball with him?
I still do.
And you're still at Empire?
37 years and counting, yes.
Professional Empire?
I do Major League Spring Training down in Florida. That's professional baseball. Most of the time I do what's considered amateur, which is high school, college, adult men's, and there's a lot of women's baseball, international women's baseball now that's very, very high-level baseball played all over the world. Everywhere except here in the United States.
Well, there was a famous movie with Rosie O'Donnell.
And this is the
League of Their
25-year
Own.
anniversary, yeah.
Yes.
And those women, there are still 100 of the actual women from the All-American Girls who are still alive, and they have reunions every year. And I'm working with 2 of them to found a women's baseball museum in Rockford, Illinois, right now. So they're still very active. And the ones that are still alive are all very healthy, and I have a theory about that. It's because a lot of them were farm girls, and they grew up working outside under the sun, so they got a lot of vitamin D, and they drank raw milk. So they got a lot of healthy food when they were young, and that set them up for good health later in life.
Milk is supposed to be bad for you.
Well, raw milk has a lot of very healthful properties, and it's very demonized nowadays, but it's much healthier than pasteurized milk.
Right.
And people make that mistake. They drink pasteurized milk instead of raw milk. And pasteurized milk, you might as well drink,
Did you have a lot of milk? Is that what happened to you?
No, I'm a lactate guy. I don't drink the normal. I don't drink the normal kind of milk.
No.
Are you in touch with Florida still?
I am actually a legal resident of Florida.
And what happened?
Well, it just got wiped off the face of the earth about 3 days ago.
Have you checked?
I have friends down there who are in pretty dire straits, but thankfully they're safe. Their property has suffered some damage.
Where are they located?
All over the state.
And all over the state they've suffered?
Well, in Miami they escaped major damage. Up in Jacksonville took a lot of the brunt of the force.
That was a surprise.
Yeah, and even in Fort Myers and Naples on the West Coast, they took a lot of damage over there too.
What about Cape Coral?
Well, that's on the peninsular side of Fort Myers. So I'm not sure. I haven't spoken to anybody.
That's right on the water.
Yeah, it probably.
No, they
took
got
more.
hit. Key Largo got
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah, that's down in the.
My favorite place, Key West.
Yeah, the keys were probably destroyed.
Smashed.
I think they're evacuating a lot of people out of there right now because they have no clean water, and without water, people can't survive.
You know what was on Key West? Hemingway's home with 45 six-toed cats.
They saved the cats. The cats.
Yeah, the guy stayed, the manager stayed on the highest ground of Key West.
And
the home was built on the highest ground. That anti-Semite Hemingway knew where to build a house. And Truman's White House was there.
Yeah.
And that's where the war, the Spanish-American War started. The Maine came from there. They have the museum of that. They have the most buried treasure in gold. The museum of that was there. Key Lime Pie came from there. The newest hotels, the oldest fort, the tallest lighthouse, the southernmost point.
What about Jimmy Buffett?
Who is he?
He doesn't know anybody in this century. He knows his history from 1700s, 1800s, into the Second World War.
I took the ghost
After
tours.
that, he knows nothing. That's it.
And my wife
You're
makes
no
these beautiful
powerhead.
shirts, and I sold a whole number of them at Key. I was the most popular shirt guy in Key West. Now I lost my whole audience down
Oh
there.
my gosh, and you don't know to.
Uh-oh.
So tell me, what is going into your video production of the life of
The three of us.
Moe Resner, Moe Resner, and Mike Reese? Finance, baseball, and showbiz.
All wrapped up in one, by the way.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and who else?
More like the Nutty Professor.
Super nutty. Super.
I saw you at the comic strip, where to give him credit, of 15 performing comics, all at least 20 years younger than him, he had them all laughing. He had the whole audience laughing, which didn't exist until he got on the stage last. Am I correct?
100%. The
Definitely.
skill level, just something that the young guys can really, really look forward to. But you know what? Gladys's room at the Comedy Cellar is like a legendary spot. Gladys is like a synonym for the whole jam sessions of the comedians, which is incredible. That's how the community stays alive. And what was really interesting is that we booked so we saw you that day, correct? We were all there.
Yes, we were all there.
But if you guys remember, really interesting, we actually were planning on shooting the week prior, but the reason why we could not shoot was because Seinfeld came through with the new stage.
Jerry
How
Seinfeld.
cool is that? And
He always bothered me, Jerry Seinfeld. Always
Listen.
interfered in my whole act.
It's always
but I'm just
something
saying,
you're wondering.
I get it.
Well, anyway, which of these three lives do you want Janko to profile the most? Because he can't give equal time to all three. So which of the three, in retrospect, looking back over 200 years,
Right.
which of the three do you want profiled the most?
Let's put it another way. The business finance end is the least interesting in my life. Baseball and show business, that's my life. And they're intertwined.
So in other words, you supported yourself, as you had to, and your family, which
Right.
is extensive,
Right.
by doing something that you liked less than what could not support you, but gave you the impetus to continue.
Excellently said.
Excellent.
Perfect.
And is that not very common for most people?
I think
Yes.
so.
And is it not
Yes.
also common that whereas all these show business people say that they're so happy and so glad that they're doing what they love and they're working what they love, are among the most unhappy people on earth, at the top of the suicide list, at the top of the drug users, at the top of the alcoholics, all in rehabilitation and all that.
That's today.
Eh?
But the comedians of my time, those who I
Were
remember,
the most miserable,
Wait a
most insulting,
They were all
most
drunk.
all depressed. They hated each other, and they didn't live very long either.
And they're supposed to be role models.
yeah,
And
but
if you hear them, what they say about President Trump, they fall backwards over each other in terms of assassination. And this is when we're reflecting on the tragedy of Lincoln, the tragedy of Kennedy, and to have these role models, these people who make more money than the earth produces, having the nerve to say anything about a political figure who's already a target for the whole world of terrorism.
So I don't know how we got off on that, but I had that.
So we got off on that because I'm asking you.
I know what it was. I know what it was.
Which of the
comedians that I know and that I knew were like me in the sense of doing clean stuff, being able to perform in front of 1,000 people, 500 people. The comedians today cannot. They cannot perform in front of more than 5 or 6 people because it's dirty. They have very little talent.
Violent.
They don't know what violent. They don't know what to say. But getting back, the comedians who I've known, I have never known them to be unhappy. They would never quit their job because they loved it. No comedian ever quits. I never quit. Jackie Mason never quits. Pat Cooper never quit. Jerry Lewis never quit. Jerry Seinfeld, he won't quit.
I'm not saying.
No matter what I tell him to do.
I'm not talking in terms of quitting. I'm off the stage, doing anything else. What type of person are they? You see from the comments that are made today. You can tell that they're running around with wife after wife. They don't talk to their children. They have 2 families. They are running from drugs. Well, look at the talent we've lost. Seymour Hoffman, drugs. The Joker, Heath Ledger, drugs. The Jenny, a comedian, shot. I can go on and on, but it's Robin Williams, a big mystery, hung in his living room. I mean, what is going on here with this show business? What about baseball? Steroids all over the place. Scandals all over the place. The Red Sox, the Black Sox scandal is nothing. It was nothing. They framed innocent people, heroes, compared to what goes on today in your baseball. Am I right
now
or not?
It's the Red Sox using technology.
Explain
A lot of what you
Explain
say
it.
is the present generation, you're right. But if you go back a generation, this didn't exist. And I'm talking about comedians.
I'm talking about you had
A generation.
You had in the time of the Black Sox, when baseball became regulated, the same way Hollywood became regulated by this unfair censorship. You had the Hayes Committee, and you had others coming to when the great gangster managed to fix. To fix rules when he fixed baseball, when he actually fixed the series.
Arnold Rothstein.
Who was killed at the Taft Hotel in a
Arnold
poker
Rothstein.
game that he cheated
That
at.
was 1919.
The
And the
genius
plot was
gangster.
hatched at the Ansonia, which still stands.
Oh, I didn't know that. One of my guests was the
74th
chef at the Hudsonia.
Uh-huh.
But that hasn't happened as far as we know since. But why with the Olympics and everything, why are they always exposing a scandal in these sports? First you get the medal, then you get the scandal. Why is that? Why? And entertainment, you don't see too much love and affection. You really don't. They make a posturing of it. They want you to think it exists. But if you meet them privately, you know it doesn't. And we've met them all privately. So what is it that you're so happy with the show business, but the people who have made it to the career that gives them access and entree to everything, and idolization with little education, little savvy, and a different type of work level, why is it that they are vicious people, basically?
You really want to know, huh?
Yeah, I want to know.
You want to know, huh?
I want to know.
I
Your
don't know.
baseball and your show business. I want to know.
All I know is my 3 lives. I like the baseball, and I particularly like show business, and I like to perform, and that's it.
What do you think? What do you think? You produced how many documentaries? Tell me about what you produced.
Well, I think that it's a very interesting thing that you're talking about in terms of a person being successful, awarded, critically acclaimed, but somehow still feels empty inside. No family structure, no morals, nothing really to say with any kind of depth. I think that's pretty much what we find today in pretty much all of the entertainment business.
And I think that's what people
Yeah.
responded to when they saw your humor contrasted with the humor that preceded yours. Yours is just a much, I don't want to say gentler because that kind of weakens it, but it's not a cruel humor. And a lot of the humor, the comics that came on before Moe, just indulged in a very cruel, casual kind of humor that wasn't really that funny at its core. And Moe is very funny.
The tragedy of Bill Cosby is his comedy was family-oriented,
Right.
physician-oriented, the dentist type of humor, the classic relax and laugh your head off humor. He could go before 30,000 people or 100 people and in a very slow and relaxed style enact your family setting, and you just couldn't help laughing. And yet he turned out to be, according to all the allegations, one of the most crudest, assaultive, vicious type of people towards women.
But that was his real life we're talking about.
Yeah, so that's what I mean by the real life
That's what
of
I'm
these
saying.
people.
I agree.
But at least in performance, he didn't put that in. Today you have it in the performance and in the real life. You have
Right.
rappers shooting each other while they sing out songs of death and killing and so on and so forth. You have terrorists and you have terrorist entertainment. You have the most violent shows on television and in the movies, and it's not even artistic. It's just special effects. And you come from an age and a genre and your three fields and lives where this didn't play a part in any of it.
Absolutely correct.
Would you say that's a major difference in what you did and what the people are doing in those fields today?
Completely, it's a completely different world. I'm not used to it. I don't even understand it.
Can you relate the baseball players that you used to idol, Willie Mays, Sandy Koufax, Hank Greenberg, Don Drysdale? Can you relate them to the players of today?
They played baseball for the love of it. They would have done it for nothing. That's how good they were.
You see
That's
the
how
people
devoted
today
they were.
doing it for nothing?
No?
What about you as an umpire? When you called out things, did people go and attack you, throw things at you, start riots? Did Morris come charging at you with a pair of socks or something or other?
I don't know. Have I ever ejected you from a ball
No.
game? Moe?
Uh-oh.
I never even cursed on the field. There's one time, it wasn't you, it was somebody else, when I was called out on strikes, I got so angry, I said, "What?" That was it.
Do
That was
you,
it.
do you remember
Then I-
violent incidents? Or
Well, when I started umpiring, it was 1981, and there were very few women umpiring at that time. So I was often the target of a particularly special kind of vitriol, shall we say. 37 years later, things I through my observation have changed considerably for the better. People are in general more accepting and
of a
open.
woman umpire?
Yeah, of a woman.
But what about
as
your
far,
decisions?
As far as the ball playing part of it, it's very interesting that you brought that up because in my observation, the coaching techniques have changed. It's much less about giving kids a chance to learn and to develop as human beings and people than it is about winning ball games, getting the kids positioned to get scouted and signed to a contract either by a major league ball club or a good college for a college scholarship. It's all about getting the scholarship or getting the contract now. And it frankly has ruined the way a lot of parents approach getting their kids into the baseball arena and the way coaches approach giving the kids a chance to play and learn the fundamentals. I see Major League ball players now with such shoddy fundamentals, and I know it's because of poor coaching, because they didn't tell them, look, you can't just stand there and stare at your pop-up. You got to run, because if you run like Willie Mays used to do, you'll plant that seed in the fielder's head that, oh my gosh, he's running, now I got to, and he might drop the ball. He might make that play happen, whereas if you just stand at the plate and stare at it, the fielder's going to catch the ball. And you give him that out, whereas if you run, you plant that seed where maybe I won't get that out, and maybe the runner winds up being safe at first base.
Thank you. I want to thank all of you for coming.
Oh,
How does
are
one
we
reach
done?
you?
Well, it could be by phone, which is 732-221-8777.
Thank
You
you.
missed it? You missed it? I'll say it again.
Shannon Taylor, your host for the conversation.
That's it.
You got to talk faster when you're getting that stuff. I'm sorry, I didn't realize
No,
we
it's
were
fine.
so close.